Good evening, everybody. The topic is on iBank medical standards and accreditation. In fact, the iBank professionals are quite well tuned to the medical standards of iBanking, and the knowledge that is more recent to the iBankers, or especially to the Asia Pacific region, is about accreditation and what it could achieve more to ensure standards of iBanking. Now, the primary objective of any healthcare organization will take, the objectives include few factors like it is primarily to ensure quality of the product and also to ensure safety to patients and healthcare workers. Now, we understand that iBank also is a healthcare establishment, and iBanking is definitely a sophisticated technique. So definitely an iBank cannot survive without quality. On the other hand, corneal blindness continues to be one of the diseases under the global initiatives of Vision 2020 Right to Sight program. And when we look at that, the iBanking activities as a whole becomes a critical component in the management of this disease, wherein the infrastructure, the human resource, the operations and the service delivery should definitely be following the global standards. In the context of iBanking, we could probably define quality as the application of medical science and technology in a way that maximizes its benefits to the corneally blind without correspondingly increasing its risks. Primarily, it means that it primarily focuses on minimizing the risk while maximizing the benefits to the corneally blind. Now, why quality assurance is important for iBanking? It would definitely increase the surgeon's confidence on iBank corneas that has happened over the years. The iBank gets opportunity to excel through the process of continuous quality improvement, which is otherwise known as CQI. And through these, the iBanks become more accountable to the service provided by the iBankers. It becomes more committed to the community and also builds trust among the patients and supporters. Now, having known what is quality and what its benefits are to the community, we also need to understand how it can be implemented, because implementation becomes an important part of quality assurance. For this, the first and foremost requirement is the development of a quality assurance document that defines the policies, the standard procedures and processes that every iBank personnel should understand and practice on a day-to-day basis. In fact, an iBank should have a written standard operating procedures manual of all the procedures practiced in the iBank. Now, an iBank cannot just develop a standard operating procedure as it wants, or can introduce a policy or procedure as it likes. So what it requires to be done is, it has to always refer to a reference document. So towards this, under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, the National Program of Control of Blindness, the iBank Association of India, and the leading eye institutions in the country, they all work together to develop a standards document known as the Standards of iBanking in India. It took shape in 1999 and it was amended in the year 2009. So, when we look at scaling up of quality, overall there has been a lot of efforts put in by the iBank Association of India through creation of awareness and knowledge about the need for quality, and also it had adopted certain rigorous procedures for implementation as well as monitoring of standards in iBanks that are members of iBank Association of India. There were several meetings and workshops held, and a decision was made that for an iBank to become an accredited member of iBank Association of India, it must comply with the standards laid down in the document on standards of iBanking. Now, what do you mean by this compliance? In fact, we expect every iBank who wants to be a real standard iBank to show proficiency in all aspects of iBanking, namely the procurement, processing, evaluation, storage, documentation, tissue distribution, even the facility, the infrastructure, human resource, as well as corneal transplant procedures. In fact, all these efforts lead to an iBank getting accreditation. Now, towards achieving this goal of accrediting iBanks, an accreditation program document was developed which comprised of the concept, the policies and procedures, standard elements, the training required for various cadres of iBank professionals, the iBank assessment protocol, and the certification method. And all these standards also align with the Transplantation of Human Organs Act that came into existence in 1994 and amended over the years. Now this standard document that we have in fact deal with or address both the clinical as well as non-clinical issues related to iBank, which now when we go to the non-clinical issues, it even deals with facility management, the infrastructure or the equipment management, the instrument cleaning and maintenance issue, as well as the quality control for these instruments, infection control practices, as well as personal safety, and the need for adhering to universal precautions, the knowledge about protection from hazardous material, and the use of personal protective equipment, that is PPE, the human resource, the profile of the human resource who are required for the iBank as well as the eye donation centers, how they need to be trained and what are the minimum qualification criteria for each of them. The identification of a potential donor from the voluntary source as well as the hospital source. When we go to the medical issues of iBanking, they deal with the screening of a donor for infectious diseases, the aseptic methods used for retrieval of donor corneas, and storage methods, the various methods used for evaluation as well as blood testing, the tissue distribution criteria as well as the tissue tracking. Now, the medical standards also say that an iBank should be accredited as well as also it should be registered under the TOVA Act. Now, towards this, the iBank Association of India, the support from the SiteLife, which is one of the leading iBanks in the United States, developed an accreditation pilot project including or selecting major 8 iBanks in the country. And these iBanks did because we found that they have the potential to be accredited in the first phase of accreditation. And this study was undertaken in 2010 and was completed in 2011. In fact, as an initiative to this entire process, we first developed an accreditation protocol document, and we drew all the standard elements from this medical standards document. And in the next phase, the exercise was to train, to identify the assessors, so whereby we had 3 assessor teams consisting of 1 corneal surgeon and 1 iBank technician per team. And these assessor teams, the iBank managers as well as the medical directors, were trained on the concept, the accreditation protocols as well as the standard elements, because both the assessors and the SSC also need to be trained. So we had conducted a few workshops for both the assessors as well as the iBanks that were included in this study. The assessment was completed in 2 cycles, and of the 8 iBanks, 7 were awarded accreditation. Now, the protocol in brief which is going to apply even for an official accreditation procedure, is the iBank submits a the pre-assessment materials including the standard operating procedures as well as their iBank profile in advance to the assessors. The assessors will evaluate the standard operating procedure and come up with a questionnaire which will be relating to these standard elements, and the iBanks are assessed against these standard elements. Now, after the assessment is done, the assessors will prepare a non-conformance list and present to the iBank for them to undertake the corrective actions and submit a completion of the non-conformance report to the assessors. It also goes to the board and the chairman of the assessing committee, the accreditation committee, and based on their assessment, the iBank is accredited a status of accreditation for 2 years, 1 year, or it could be denied based on certain critical and non-critical parameters that are evaluated during the assessment. Now, at the end of all these efforts, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Accreditation Board of Hospitals for officially initiating the accreditation program for the iBanks in the country. We have also formulated the technical and the accreditation committee to undertake this process, and we are confident of the support from the National Program of Control of Blindness. So in conclusion, the medical standard stipulates acceptable processes and procedures so that quality and safety are ensured, and accreditation ensures that iBanks follow a continuous quality improvement program whereby all its operations meet standards and benchmarking their practices with the best in the world. And that is what we are hoping for the iBanking in the country. Thank you.